What's going on, man? It's your big brother K-Rino, man. Y'all to tune in to another visual version of K-Rino Radio, man. Look, man, I'm honored to have this brother on, man. This brother is one of, in my opinion, my humble opinion, one of the dopest personalities in the game, man. And he has
Wow.
had the privilege and the pleasure of being closely connected to Pimp C, man, and UGK Records, and has a strong history and career of his own. And we want to get into all that, man. Straight out of PA, man. One of PA's finest. And at this stage, absolutely one of PA's OGs, man. The homie Hezeleo, man. What's up, my brother? How you feeling?
Hey, man, it's an honor to be here. And that introduction, man, it gave me chill bumps, man. Salute to you, OG.
I ain't tell no lies, man. I dropped it. I dropped straight up truth, man. We glad to have you on, man.
I'm glad to be here.
We've never just had no conversation. So, you know, but of course I've seen you in action. I've seen you on YouTube and things of that nature. So I know how you get down, and I know where your heart is, man. I want to kind of talk about you and get into you. Like, I know you from PA. What was your early moment of falling in love with hip hop and the music game, man? What got you started into that, and when was that?
It would be early 80s. It would be elementary school. Raised in a single parent household and seeing, step pops in and out here and there. It was always a lot of alcohol and drama. And then I had 4 other siblings, and it was always a lot of chaos. But I had an escape. I loved music. And I always had some kind of boom box or clock radio. I always had something. And I was able to tune in to the radio, and they would play just a little bit of rap. Mostly I would have to beg my mom to take me to the record store to actually get albums. And she kept the record player in her room. So I was able to take my records when, she felt like, okay, go ahead in the room. And I would go in there and spin the records by myself, man, and just have a great time. So it was the early 80s.
Early 80s, yeah, man. We're going way back. So you were listening to that old school R&B. You wouldn't really, it was a little rap out at that time, but you was listening to that old school, some Al Green and your mama's records back in the days, huh?
Yeah. Hey, that good music. The 80s R&B, it was warm, man. It felt like you could really find some real love out here.
Right, no doubt. So as you started getting older, were you back and forth to Houston, or you were just exclusively in PA and watching that scene develop, or what did you have your eyes and ears on as hip hop started to take shape in the southern region down here in Texas? What did you have your eyes and ears on that really got you sparked into it like that?
It was definitely the forefathers, from the North, the Run DMCs and the LLs and just the cats like that. And then the cats that was submerging out of Houston. We had a section in Port Arthur where we had an in-house studio way early in the game. So we was recording our own records way back in the early 80s. And we would mimic y'all style a lot. Like whatever was coming out of Houston, we would mimic it. You know what I mean? But we were finding ourselves as the years would progress. We had the whole breakdance era, you know what I mean? That was kind of difficult, and you get a whole lot of bumps and bruises. So it became battle rap, from battle rap, it went to just kind of standing around at school performing in the dirt and on the rocks while somebody beatboxing. But early in the game, my partners who was in the hood with me, his dad was a DJ, and he bought him all the equipment. So we were able to record like almost in 5th and 6th grade.
Right. So you was in the battle rap, man. You got a strong voice. You got one of them voices, man, that like you don't need no microphone, seem like, man. So I know you was blasting boys' heads off just with the vocals back in the. Did you get in the battle scene early on like that?
Yeah, but it was more cap rap. It was more playing the dozens and rhyming until somebody wanted to fight or they quit. You know what I mean? And I remember winning the majority of my battles.
Right.
Straight business.
Right. Oh, hey,
hey,
man,
but I wasn't no hardcore rapper like you now.
But now, look, man, we call that rank rapping back and see. Look, my thing was, I knew that I was gonna face different types of dudes. I was gonna face the highly skilled lyrical guys, and I was gonna face the hood guys who was gonna, like you say, just snap on you, talk about your mama. So I tried to do both. So like, depending on who my opponent was, I'm a rank rap or I'm gonna get technical with you. So now, I totally understand, man. I totally understand.
Hey, I'm really afraid to be talking about battle rapper when you say technical, because I didn't heard you. Hey, man, I didn't heard you use words with a continuous flow. It was incredible, man.
Oh no, bro. I mean, I appreciate the love, man. Everybody knows, man, that knows you. They know how loyal and how true you are to Port Arthur, and how true and loyal that you are and were and still are to Pimp C. And I think that's one of the more commendable things about you, bro, because if I'm not mistaken, Pimp passed in was it 07?
Yeah, it would be 07.
So we talking 14 years ago that have really went by in my eyes like super fast, because you can remember moments like that like it was yesterday. And I see you still repping for Pimp to this day, man. Talk a little bit about y'all's connection and y'all's friendship, because it was bigger than music. It turned into a friendship. Just give us a little backstory on that for those that might not know.
Okay, definitely. In the early beginning, 80s on up, I always seen him around, but I would see Bun more and engage more with Bun. But it was understood, like in the earlier days, he was more standoffish if he didn't know you. And I had no problem with that, because we would have a couple of words and that was good enough, and we're going about our business. Around early 2000, while I'm out pushing a mixtape of mine, like I'm starting to take the initiative. I'm learning from y'all with the guerrilla marketing, and I was kind of forced to, but that's a whole nother story. A distributor in the South, in Houston, kind of albino guy, he would press up and sometimes distribute. I forgot his name.
Was it Polly Pop?
No, because he a DJ.
Yeah, he's a DJ. Okay.
This was kind of like an older guy, bald head, albino. Okay. But he had a nice studio. He had some plaques on the wall, whatnot. But he told me that he was going to be able to give me like a B or C distribution. Nothing up front. He would press me up and he would put me on shelves, and I would have to go out and push it myself, marketing wise and promotion. So I was kind of forced to the street with the whole guerrilla marketing thing, because he went bankrupt right after he pressed me up. So jump to speed. I'm out on the block in Port Arthur, Guffway and Memorial, pop in the trunk, got 1,000 CDs, something got to shake. So Pimp's baby mama brother that he speak on, in a couple of the raps, he come and make a purchase and he take it back to Mama West. She sent for me. That starts the whole snowball effect. Me and her have a sit down, and she's asking me about who I have helping me, assisting me, management, this and that, this and that. And she was surprised to know that I was somewhat of a one-man army. And she really was commending me on that and told me that she would take the role of being a manager. So a couple of years, me and her was, I would bump into y'all, different clubs, different cities, just me and her. You know what I mean? We in hole in the walls, we in big clubs, we everywhere, just me and her. You know what I'm saying? And she introduced me to DJs and to the network that they had. So throughout that time, I brought her to see Pimp a couple of times when he was around the San Antonio area, and I probably wrote him like one time. So when he was released, she really let him know how I held it down throughout that time while he was gone. So at that moment when he was released, he really embraced me. He didn't embrace me previously because we had a little friction with a mutual friend that he wound up kind of colliding with, but I was nowhere around it, had nothing to do with it, know nothing about it. It was just something that Mama had told me, where he was kind of like, why, what, boom, boom, boom. But then when he got out, he just put all that to the side and embraced me. and told me that we were about to make a whole. He said, "Man, look, we finna get filthy rich," and just that inclusion is almost like I got a record deal right then, because being an indie artist, putting all that weight on your back, getting out there, traveling city to city, state to state, pressing up with your own money, every piece of paraphernalia, you doing it with your own money, and every sale you doing it with you doing it with your own sweat equity. So to have this powerhouse come and say, I'm with you, we finna do this, it was the best feeling I ever had. And from that day, man, we just started. He was saying he was gonna take a little break and go to Virginia and kind of gather himself, do some writing and collect, some verses and, just kind of organize what he was going to do. But that did not happen. The very next day, he was at the Bentley shop with Jay Prince. He was getting it popping, you know what I'm saying?
Right. You know what's crazy, man? It's like, I was listening to what you were saying. You have people in the world, they are, like you say, they are standoffish initially because they just got to feel you out. They got to kind of see what's what. But once they kind of see and take you in, then you in, because they've already went through the process of vetting you and checking you out and like, okay, you know what, he good. And if somebody like his mother co-signed, when mama co-signed, then usually everybody else fall in line. Like, so I think that was big, man. And I really think that it was meant, I think it was meant for y'all to have that connection, because everybody, I don't care what genre, I don't care if it's music, sports, whatever the case might be, everybody has that right-hand man or that one person that they can just look to and say, if don't nobody else got me, this person got me, and I know just from my study and my research that you was a dude that always kept it 1,000 with Pimp. And and I didn't know Pimp well. We came across each other here and there, and the respect was always there. But I just know how it feels to have that soldier with you like that, man. Did you kind of see that being your role as you went, even though you were an artist? Did you kind of look at it like, yeah, I'm an artist, but this is my dude too. I'm a friend, and then the friendship took precedence over the music connection?
It always was a hometown love there. And so I had like an advantage because I spent a lot of intimate time with mama one-on-one, sitting in the kitchen, eating. And she was just basically almost briefing me to be on his staff as whatever role was going to take place. Because I didn't know he was going to start UGK Records. I didn't know what his plans was. I was thinking he was going to get out, go be Pimp C again, and I see him here and there, and he might toss me a bone here and there. But I wasn't thinking as what he did. I didn't have it on my mind because I didn't know he was thinking like that. So she actually prepared me to deal with his personalities. She prepared me to understand who was in different places previously and how they handled certain roles. And it was like, as I was going down the checklist, my qualities, not to pat myself on the back, my qualities was just too solid. And I think it would have shocked him, because a lot of times people was trying to put stuff in his ear, or he this, he that, like it was crazy. But as he kept looking and watching, like you're saying, the whole standoff thing, that went away. And we were, really kicking it, eating private meals and talking, taking private trips, back and forth from Houston, like stuff you do with your partners, you know what I mean? So the love already being there for him and Bun, it just became even more, because now I feel kind of, I'm not going to say responsible, but I feel a part of his conscience. I wanted to make more of an impact, to be a brother and not just a fan and some groupie dude who, if he said shit tastes like ice cream, yeah, Pimp, that's what it tastes like. I never wanted to be that. Yeah. So we used to bump heads because I just wasn't going with everything he was talking about if it was harmful to him and to the new movement he was creating.
I think everybody like that, they're gonna, you're just not gonna be able to avoid the yes men. You're not gonna be able to avoid that because people are gonna cling on, but everybody needs that one cat that balances that off. That's like, look, man, I'm gonna shoot straight with you. If you kick me out the crew today, I'm gonna be able to look in the mirror and have a good night's sleep knowing that I wasn't a yes man, that I told you straight up because I care about you. So that what you saying, that's what resonates with me on that level. Man, I want to ask a question, man, that I have always been wanting to ask. I never got a chance to ask Pimp. Anytime I see Bun, it's not in my mind because we usually it's in an event. Man, what is the real definition of trill? What does trill mean? Because everybody said we know it originated in PA UGK. What do it really mean, man? If you can answer that question for
that's a great question. And me having the lineage from where I come from, I would have a great answer, but it's two conflicted definitions. One of the definitions was the street term that some cats would use. They'll say they got that trill when they was hustling, but what they were saying was they had some fraudulent work, but they was calling it trill. I heard that before, but I'm from that same era and I know those same guys, but I never referred to work like that. What we called it? We called it fluke, we call it blow up, we called it all kind of stuff, but it basically was just fake, to get you. You fake till you got you some, you know what I mean? So that was some people saying that. But where I heard it from was an individual from the West Side, from Lewis Mountain Apartments. He's a little bit older than me. His name is Spoon Guy, Spoonie G. I was in a little, I would say, I don't want to say a gang. It was just a group of guys in PA that kicks niggas' ass. You know what I mean? So I was with these hard-headed ass niggas, and Spoonie G was kind of like our big brother to that group of guys. And so he would always be around, and he had a pot off the ass swag. He always had a spoon in his mouth, and he kind of mumbled when he talked, and he used a whole lot of slang. And he just would say trill all the time. Yeah, Nick them that trill shit. So us being his younger brothers, we look up to him. It wasn't about fashion. It wasn't about the world need to hear this. This is just a piece of lingo we used around town. You know what I mean? And I got it from him.
Right. So how did it get to Pimp and Bun, and because when people start saying trill, I'm gonna be honest with you, I tried to formulate it myself. I say maybe it means true and real combined. I ain't know what it was, but I always love to see phrases and words get coined from our region that end up the whole world. So you got everybody saying trill this, trill that now, you know what I'm saying? So how did it get to Pimp and Bun them like that? Go ahead.
And that's what he said it meant, true plus real, you know what I mean? Pimp and Bun and we're from the same era. Like Bun might be 1 year older than me, and then me and Pimp might be the same age. So we know all the same people, you know what I mean? Like some of the guys that they hung with, I hung with them too, but not with them. Like one of our partners named Big Jack. Me and Big Jack was always together, but he always used to be with Pimp and Bun sometimes too. And just different cats. I knew all they mutual friends and I would interact with them, but I didn't hang with them. So we come from the same gumbo pot. People say like sometimes, oh, you sound just like, man, look, Port Arthur Small is your neighborhood. We gonna smell like the shrimp in the gumbo, the crab and the sausage. We're in the same gumbo pot. And some of the same stories they talking about, I know the people, you know what I mean? Like, it's small, it's a small town.
No doubt, man. Wait on to get our brother back. There you go.
Yeah, No, my son called me.
Let me ask you about Trill Stories, man. You know what I'm saying? Break
Yeah.
that down to, you know, and we want you to definitely tell us your YouTube channel so people will know. But give us the rundown on the Trill Stories. How'd you get that started and what's it all about?
From the bone gristle, I was waiting on people to tell my narrative.
Yeah.
And like the introduction you gave me, nobody had to prompt that. You just a Trill dude. You're a real dude. Yeah. So I'm not gonna say expecting that. I was just thinking that was gonna take place amongst different people when cameras come on to help, just help me along the way. That's all I was thinking. Right. But when I seen none of that ever happening, I said I needed to get a little bit more vocal. Yeah. So I started to think about the times we had and how in my mind, they're so entertaining, just these moments. Like I haven't even begun to really peel off the scab and really let it do what it do, because it's some crazy stories. Yeah. So I felt like, here's a way I can take some of the underdog guys that was around us who get no kind of shine, who got these beloved, crazy stories about being amongst Pimp, Bun, whomever, whatever, and offer them their time to tell their story. Because when they're around me, we always talking about it, but we know these stories and we know the feeling of enjoyment and entertainment we get from them. These fans who always asking questions, how about we feed them to them? Right. So I was throwing a Pimp C celebration party in Dallas, and some of the guys from Alabama came down, Hen Dog, Bo Mac, Tim, Trill Gang cats was there, Ray T, Corn, it's all our folks. And so while we out there just chilling, the boys like, man, tell us a story. You know what I mean? Yeah. I guess I'm kind of like open up the book and just start telling stories to the boys. And so I tell them about this time when we was in Birmingham, Alabama, and that story started going viral. And I had a cruise already booked. And so when I got on the cruise, I was just thinking, man, it's time to kick them Trill Stories off. So I kicked them off. But if you notice, I've offered the platform to Edgar on the Boat, that's Pimp's cousin, who also used to be Trill Images, taking the pictures. He used to be with us then. Bobo Luciano, one of Pimp partners and Bum partners, you know what I'm saying? He used to come live with Pimp in PA way back in the early day. Bundy G of X Mob, pretty much the whole UGK posse is welcome if they want to contribute or tell a story. So it was just a way to give us a little outlet. And I'm not going to say outlet, I mean little outlet, because I think that thing is going to explode because it's growing every day. So it was just a way to give everybody an outlet to be seen and heard.
Man, and I know that you probably have a million, not a play on words, a trillion Pimp C stories, man. I know you do, man. And because it's certain individuals who come through the pike, down the pike in history, man, that they just have that about them. Like if people telling like Rick James stories, like on back in the day, Pimp falls in that category. I can imagine that just every day it's gonna be something to talk about at the end of the day, just because his personality was so huge like that, man.
Yeah.
So I can imagine. Man. Let me ask you a question, because this was something that was on my mind. And I just want me to give your thoughts on this. The book that came out, the Pimp C book that came out, the lady Julia Beverly who wrote the book and all that, was that something that you co-signed, or that's something that you was good with? You know, I'm just gonna keep it a 1,000, which I had an issue with her because she came off to me on some culture vulture type stuff, and it just seemed like a money grab. I don't know all of the details. I could be wrong. I don't know if she took care of the family. What was your perception of that as far as when she dropped that book? And just give me your angle on it. And did she do right?
Let me go back to something, because I think this was the last time you and I saw each other in person that I remember. But you also kind of move in stealth mode. I checked that out. You on some ninja shit.
Sometimes.
Yeah. Pimp and I were at his house and we were looking through her magazine. Pimp and her had a very close relationship. That bled over to her and Mama West having a close relationship. So he made a couple of suggestions to her, and immediately I was sent to 90.1 to meet her, and you were there.
Yeah.
And she gave me a full-page ad in the magazine. That was the first encounter with me and her, just one-on-one. After that, I saw she had a lot of love for Pimp and Mama. She always was engaging with them, giving them columns in the magazine to kind of do what the internet is doing now. But jump to speed to the book, her and Mama kind of was in cahoots on Mama giving her the permission to go ahead and writing it and doing what she do. Financially, how she packed fair on it, I don't know. I know I was able to get some materials and whatnot. And I'm also featured in the book. That's about all I could say about it. Yeah. But to look at the character of who she is, I'm not gonna say it's our fault, but we created that. Because when you have a journalist, let's say it was a sister who was walking around with that camera in all those environments, think about how she would have been treated. Well, think about how she would have been mistreated.
Come on.
So we created that.
Yeah, and the reason why I asked that, because that's something that it just jugs at me, because the history of how Black people are exploited by the culture vultures, and that they look at a situation, because they can have all the love all day long, they can admire the music, they can be fans all day long, but at the end of the day, when they see opportunities to capitalize financially off of the blood, sweat, and tears of somebody else that you had a relationship with, but that still does not put you in a position to have this much gain financially, and the man's family doesn't see any of that, doesn't reap any of that. So that was always the issue I had. Me and her, we've had some words concerning that, and I didn't know Pimp good enough, but I just felt as a defense, like, wait a minute, don't hit me up for no comments or none of that unless I understand what the details of it is in relation to his family, because we can lay out a long grocery list of these situations. So I appreciate you even touching on that with me, Big Bro.
She was really willing to help out, but I could understand, like, when it's so many people, you would look like you're showing favoritism if you help this one or that one. Yeah. So what she did do that I really appreciated, put her arms around Pimp's young son, Corey, and she was putting him on huge platforms. I think she was, kind of breaking bread with him a bit, but I don't know exact. Okay. But I've seen him and her interact on very personal levels. Gotcha. Like she would come and take them and shoot basketball with them. Like she was close. She was close to us. Yeah. But business wise, on how that bread fell, where that paper come into play.
Yeah, because that's part of the game that'll get played. They're like, hey, how you doing? Come on, But in reality, hey, I'm gonna need a little bit of that revenue that's generated from that book, because you talking about, man, Pimp C is iconic to us. You know what I'm saying? He's iconic. He transcends Port Arthur. He transcends Texas. He's a world figure, just like Screw. So even those of us who were not close to him like that, we can respect what he did for us, what he did for this region. See, one thing I always say about Pimp, Willie D was the first cat that just was unapologetically Southern, but Pimp came right behind that, and was unapologetically
he looked up to Willie D.
Southern, So I always respected him for that, man, But we got the great Hezeleo is here with us today, man. Tell us what you're doing right now, what you working on right now, if anything, bro, and how active are you now in the music game?
Music-wise, lately I've been very active. I've been back in the studio cooking up some records, and the play on words, two of the records feature Billy Cook. you know, legend from H-Town,
Yeah,
blowing on 2 of my records and people loving them. I've been cooking up singles just to kind of see how our audience, you know, receive it. Because I took a hiatus in 2015. A little while after Mama died, I started a trucking. Well, I started trucking. I didn't start my business just yet. I had to get my experience. But 2 years later, I started my own trucking company, and I actually drive for myself. And sometimes I work myself a little too hard. Now, boss man need to let up on me. You know what I'm saying? Look at boss man now. So I started that, and once I researched trucking, it was one of those deals where you can kind of elevate. If you got hustle, you're gonna elevate with it. You know what I mean? If you just a worker, you just gonna elevate as a worker and get a bunch of pat on the backs and some emblems on your shirt and you know, all that there. I wanted to be independent, just like the music. So as soon as I can get on my experience, that's what I did. And so now I'm able to finance my own moves. So I'm doing a lot more with the Trill gear clothing. Always been consistent with that. I was consistently putting my son out with videos and just different songs, visuals, also having him and Pimp Son collab and doing visuals on them also. And we still in a how could I say, in sync with doing it. I'm just kind of waiting on them to put more music together. But just on my side with the music, like I say, I've been testing a whole bunch of singles, and I'm set up to go in the lab sometime this week, towards the end of the week, to cook up another one and drop it.
Man, well, we looking forward to that, bro. I was listening to what you were saying, man. I think it's real important for young artists coming up to hear what you was talking about, how you went through your early stages in music, but had to come to a time where you say, you know what, I'm gonna do a little something else and go into my own business with the trucking business. But more importantly, having the ability to do that, you know, just having more than one skill. Is this something you could say to the young artists to kind of make them understand and see? I've never been a dude that says have something to fall back on in terms of subscribing to that, because I always felt like it was going to take energy away from what I really believed I could do. But the reality of it is that it's good to have more than one talent and skill. And now you your own boss, building your own empire, man. What do you have to say any artists coming up like that, and just anything you could add to that?
To me, getting a record deal was like, you know, getting on an NBA team. Yeah. It was a long shot, but it could happen. Yeah. So being independent was like, you can start that tomorrow. So most of these younger artists, they are independent businesses. Yeah. They are artists, but their artistry is a business. So having a business, you're going to need finances to market and promote that business so people can know about it. So you have to have some kind of business sense of how to make money. You know what I mean? If you're getting out guerrilla marketing, which I think that's kind of, I ain't gonna say dead, but it's not as vibrant as it was. You know what I mean? So you have to have a source, because if you don't have no source of income, you become like a partner with somebody. You have an investor, or you have somebody who loans you something. So it gets sticky. So my advice would be to the young artists to, if you have a coalition of people, sometimes we got the cameraman, one dope artist, we got a tag along hype man, we got a couple of girls who just kind of, they're not groupies, they're friends of the situation. It's time to sit down and organize that. And everybody plays some kind of role that's going to propel that movement further. And we're going to have to do some business. Sometimes I think we be afraid of always saying business and money, but economics have really, it's very necessary for us to start discussing and learning more about. So any young artists out there right now, I would suggest you take everybody who around you, you know, doing whatever, and y'all sit down and put that nonsense to the side and start organizing who actually gonna do what. And y'all come together with a plan and start pushing forward. That's the whole structure of the No Limit tank. Everybody was inside that tank, 8, you know what I mean? So y'all need to create your own think tank, own no limit tank, and start propelling forward. And don't expect nothing from nobody. Whatever somebody give you is just icing on the cake. Y'all have goals where y'all want to push that movement to, where y'all want to see that movement in 6 months or in a year or in 2 years. Now, when people start knocking on your door, which they're gonna come because you're building, and it's like having a very attractive female. Maybe she looked like a nerd at first, didn't wear no makeup, didn't wear no, designer, and she walked by and people saw her, but okay, whatever. But now she's starting to put on a little makeup, she ain't overdoing it. And she putting on them hip hugging jeans and them heels, got them fingernails done. Now she's very attractive. Right. What's gonna happen? Ooh, can I get your body? Right. You know what I'm saying? Now she's gonna be sought after. It's a whole bunch of ugly movements that why would you be sought? Why would you be seeking that? It don't look like nothing. So you got to just polish up your movement, make it attractive, and make the components of your movement viable to be doing something that's going to propel the whole movement further. If you don't, it's just going to fall apart. And it's going to be a whole bunch of envy and mess and nigga shit and drama that we've seen over and over and over again. So pull it together, get organized, and start having business meetings and business plans on where you want to see y'all organization or group or whatever it is go, on a structured plan of 6 months to a year to 2 years, 3 years.
Beautiful, man. Beautiful wisdom, man. Beautiful business wisdom. Guys got to play their roles and put egos to the side. And when you was talking, I was thinking about LeBron James, how all these homies that he played with in high school, they are now pieces. They're now components of his whole business model. He's the front guy, but same guy. They showed a split screen. 4 guys. They went high school in their uniforms. Those 4 guys they showed them today. One is his agent. One does this. One does that, and he's LeBron. So that what you're saying is so legitimate, man. It's so real, and I think it's a model that a lot of artists, just not artists, just anybody who has a business mind or setting out to do something, it's a model that we should emulate, man. That beautiful game, man. Give them. It
need to be polished. It need to be polished, but I think you could get the gist of it. I want to ask you a question.
Go ahead.
I was looking at one of your videos, and you were speaking about being a bigger person in that video, and your take on it was different than my current take, because I was just having that conversation with an individual yesterday. Yeah. And so I admired and I respected your take, but I wanted to kind of dig into it to just kind of see with different elements, would that be the same way, you would handle it, or what you kind of reconstructed?
Yeah, it's situational, because really the point of the video was to talk about how people have traditionally said being a bigger person means just, I'm gonna let that go, or I'm gonna ignore that, or, and that's an aspect of it, because some things are so minor that it's not worth you going down into the mud and dealing with. But I just was giving out the point of view that being a bigger person also means letting somebody know or checking somebody, because when you check them, that could possibly save them. That could possibly, see, if somebody does something to violate you or disrespect you in a certain way, you may check them hard, but you may just check them verbally. But if you let it go, the next person might blow their brains out, So you've actually done them a service by letting them know, look, I'm not the dude you can just do any kind of way. But some people, that the message was really for the more passive people, the more timid people, or the people who have this thought that I'm just supposed to be this meek, turn the other cheek type of person when somebody has wronged you. But like you say, there are different elements to it, though. Absolutely.
Definitely. One of the elements that I see very often is our youth, and how magnetized they are to each other, to have a collision that can be deadly, and it can kill both sides. One going to prison for 20, 30 years and one going in a pine box.
Right.
So I've heard the phrase conflict resolution from your brothers.
Right, that's right.
The Muslim brothers.
Right.
And so I was speaking to a young man yesterday, and the situation just kind of was already blown over the top. And they're known to be kind of like reactors. And I had to just really reach him and tell him, de-escalate it.
Right.
Because all y'all gonna do is really collide and crash, and each car gonna get totaled.
Yeah, no question. Hold that point real quick. Let me do something real quick. Yeah, I want to talk about that, because I wanted to go into that with you as well, because I'm glad you mentioned that. See, it's been a lot going on in Houston that turned into a flat-out war zone, bro. And conflict resolution is the key. But our challenge is trying to figure out a way to get those brothers or those sisters who are in the midst of that war to reach out to us. Because in the heat of anger, in the heat of the moment, they're not necessarily always trying to hear about any conflict resolution, especially in a situation where, just say, okay, they just shot and killed my cousin. They just shot and killed my brother. In the heat of that, one of the last things somebody want to hear is, okay, listen, man, this, even though that we still got to make that attempt. So it's an ongoing struggle. It's an ongoing fight to try to get the brothers to get at us before something happens, man. But it takes everybody. It takes everybody, man, because that generation has been cast off and left for dead and has been considered to be nothing. And we don't view them as that. We know who they are. We know the young gods that they are. And we just got to get that, and that same energy that they're using against each other, we got to get that and rechannel it and redirect it, man. So if you are anytime willing to stand in there with us, man, we would love to have you, brother, because your information is just so, your mind is so valuable. We love to have you with us, brother.
Man, I'm on that path. I've always kind of, being a guerrilla marketer, how to check a situation and the temperature of how to move.
Come on.
Because sometimes, like, I learned way back in the day at a park, a whole group of guys walk up by myself. Hey, man, I'm such and such. Hey, man, y'all want to check out my music, this and that, this and that. Now, because they're amongst each other, now they got to perform in front of each other. And so now the attitude is thick and their rejection is even thicker. But then sometimes it'll be one to kind of lead them and say, nah, man, let me see, But that energy was really, really off. So I learned to kind of catch individuals by themselves.
Right.
You get a total different response.
Yeah.
So a lot of times when I speak to the younger individuals, it's more or less a one-on-one, and then sometimes they'll be attracted to the whole Hezeleo, and now they giving me the floor.
Yeah.
But a lot of times I realized they gave me the floor because maybe they thought I was going to tell them something that was going to harm them, but it would entertain them. Right. Maybe I was going to tell them, yeah, be the biggest fool and jump off the cliff and smoke him and go to prison. That means you a gangster. That means you a G. Right. But I told them something totally opposite. Right. I told them about health, told them about being more brotherly to each other, told them about being more respectful to older people. And they were looking at me crazy, but they didn't put themselves in that position, so they had to listen.
No doubt.
So I've been trying to do that, pretty much my whole life.
No, and then when you give them an aspect or an angle that they have never seen before, then you appear to be different. You ain't like everybody else, and the fact that if they can recognize, they can smell who comes from where they come from, who can relate to what they relate to, they can smell that compared to somebody who haven't. So the way you came at them was through the music, through the hustle, through the marketing, but they still can detect the realness in the conversation. So that's everything you're saying is spot on, bro. It's spot on. Give us,
Appreciate
give,
it.
give us the your social media and YouTube channel so people can know where to find you. Because I really want, everybody that listens to me, I want them to shift over and check you out as well, bro.
Wow, man, that's major, man. That's major love, and I really appreciate it. I made it easy. You can find me at Hezeleo, Hezeleo, on every social site, YouTube, Instagram. I don't be on Twitter no more, but I got one. You know what I mean? Facebook, outlet. So you put Hezeleo in, you're gonna find everything. You know what I mean? I also wanted to say, I took me a note. I want to give praise to the youngsters, brothers and sisters that have been out there doing well. We love y'all and we appreciate y'all. We have a tendency sometimes to spend a lot of time with the ones that's getting in trouble because they need the attention. But sometimes we spend too much time with the hard heads and the ones that are achieving and excelling and doing well. We don't spend much time with them, saluting them and commending them on their great efforts and everything they're doing. So I want to take this time to say, I appreciate y'all for being self-motivated and excelling in life on anything you out there doing, whether it be school or business or armed services, just whatever it is. And I also want to give a mass shout out to all the single parents out there, the single mothers and the single fathers. I know it's probably a smaller percentage of single fathers, but salute to y'all too. And that's just something I really wanted to say.
And no, that's wise words, bro, because it's in anything in life, sometimes we have a tendency to kind of neglect the ones that are doing good because we feel like, well, they all right, they good. We ain't got to worry about him. But they human too. And in their mind, they like, well, what about me? So,
Exactly.
that's a great point that you mentioned, because it doesn't matter how good you're doing. People still want some validation every now and then. People still want,
yeah, man, give me some of that.
Yeah, exactly. Because the lack of that can make a good one go bad, because they will see, well, okay, we're giving a bad one all this attention. Maybe I need to be like the bad one. Maybe I need to go that direction and get some of this attention. Then we never really understand why they went down that road. So yeah,
and it happens. It happens. It happened to me when I was a kid. but I'm not gonna get into that. But I do want to, if you give me a second, I want to shout out to C Now, who put this play in motion.
Yeah,
appreciate you, man. And just some of the 5 supporters that's really been down with me lately. Man, y'all blowing me away how y'all showing up and just staying down. So I want to shout out Tank Diesel, Odell, Sharuk, the Brantley family, Michael Stringer, Crystal Long, Mr. Zoe, Mike, Victor, Steven, Jay Smooth, Jay Bird, the trucker, James Flanagan. And I'm gonna cut the list a little bit to my brother Big Bub and to Chico Johnson. And I'm gonna do it like that.
Man, hey,
Chico Johnson and Odell, appreciate y'all, man.
Man, look, well, that's how you keep it real when you shout out your homies, man. Like that, because a lot of people they tend to forget, man. So you smart enough to make a list, because you try to go out the dome, you're gonna forget somebody.
Yeah.
So we appreciate you coming, man. Anytime you got anything to say, you welcome to use this platform, bro. If you got something you're working on, feel free, brother. What's mine is yours, man. I thank you for coming on, man.
Hey, man, I salute you, man, and I really appreciate you. And we should be connected soon.
Without a doubt. Hezeleo, y'all. Hey, y'all know what time it is, man. One of Port Arthur's
long live the pimp.
Keeping it long, no question about it, man. Long live the pimp, and long live that PA legacy, man. That you definitely
shout out to Bun B, Trill OG.
Without a doubt, man. Much love
all the time.
All right.
Appreciate you, brother.
Anytime.